We are on the air. This is the March 30th, 2015 e-NABLE R&D Hangout for our Hangout on Air. We were going to talk with Bram Geenen with the Wevolver project, and we were maybe going to talk about things that could be done to improve the or encourage more use of the e-NABLE forums.
Somebody has some really weird, like, echoey noises going on. I don't know what it is. Either someone's got a mic too close to their mouth or moving it around. Yeah, oh well.
Yeah, let me see if I can turn some volumes down, see if it... Good morning, Bram.
Bram, I think we can hear you. I think I hear your chair squeaking. If you try talking.
Type in the sidebar, maybe he can't hear us.
Yeah, probably can't.
Are you able to hear us now?
It's going to be a problem for him to solve.
Right.
Can't solve that for him.
Yeah, it sounds like it might be in your settings.
Yeah, Hangouts could be on the wrong audio output, or you might have muted the Hangouts window specifically in your OS's mixer. Either way.
He can't hear you.
Right.
So don't bother telling him.
Right. Problem for him then. You said he's from We something or other. What are they? Or XC? No, not XC.
Wevolver?
Who was that?
Sorry, Wevolver?
Let me suggest that we hope he solves his problem and then circle back to talk about Wevolver.
Okay.
That sounds
good. Unless that's the only topic we have for today.
Nope.
Well, that and maybe brainstorming on ways to encourage more use of the forums.
That's hardly R&D, I wouldn't think. I'd be more than happy to chat some about the about making a silicone encased hand. How many of you saw the post I put up a little while ago about stuff I tried at Amory and never really finished?
Yeah, and I remember when you were, I remember interacting with you in Hangouts when you were at Amory, when you were doing that stuff, and being interested in where that could go.
Yeah, so the short idea, just a summary, is instead of having this very hard-bodied hand where the joints are all rigid connections with like screws or something with 1 degree of freedom, we could do something that's a little more biomimetic than what we've been doing. So instead of having a screw joint for each knuckle, you would just have 2 sort of printed bones that butt up against each other, and then little strings tied off as ligaments to keep them in close proximity. Because if you look at actual bones, it's essentially like your fist, and then you've got something cupped around it, and it can just slide over like that. And then there's a bunch of little strings holding it on. So the thinking was, I should explain that first, to make a whole hand skeleton like that, and use our usual string tendons to close it and open it, and then cast the whole thing in some really soft silicone, just with a printed mold, so you can so that you, man, just not running smoothly in the head today, so that you can have padding all around, and you can use the silicone as your return mechanism instead of elastics. And I think there's, particularly if we add more degrees of freedom going sideways and stuff, there's a lot of benefit to having gripping material on all faces. It lets you do a lot of these weird little grips that we can't do right now. That one's a bad example because we'll probably never have that motion, but like all these weird sort of pinching between the sides of the fingers and the thumbs, and like
all the
stuff.
abduction and adduction between the webbing.
Yeah. Well, I doubt we'd be adding that one, but if we maybe added a bendable palm, which is not hard to do, it'd be nice to have full coverage. Anyways, the problem with that idea, oh, Bram left. The problem with that idea when I tried it at Amory on just a finger is, so you have your bones, you have little things tying them together, you have your tendons, and then you cast that whole thing in silicone. What ends up happening is your tendon is running through a tube of silicone that's perfectly fitted to it. So if you try and pull it, the idea is that it tries to shorten its own path and bend the finger. But Bram left. He doesn't see you in chat. You should message him in a separate thing. But
He just jumped on.
if it's inside of this silicone tube, if it's inside the silicone tube, you can't it can't go to that shorter path without compressing the silicone, which is ridiculously hard. So I kind of dropped that idea, but I don't know what even put me back on it recently, but it occurred to me that if instead of casting it with the strings in place, we threaded some little like balloon animal balloons into the tendon passageways and blew them up enough that there was just a little bubble of balloon at each joint, we could cast it, and then we could deflate the balloons, pull them out, put tendons in, and there'd be room for all the joints to bend, and we'd have this nice single piece of flesh all the way around our hand, and it'd just be really awesome. It'd be machine washable and fully sealed against sandy ocean water. It would be it'd be silicone on the outside, which would let us do the sort of cosmetic silicone surface stuff that those really fancy hands from Germany do, where they make them look incredibly lifelike. So if people had like indoor specific hands, we could make them very pretty and as functional as our current ones.
Nice.
See, John's off mute.
Yeah, it's interesting. Another way of achieving that might be to put, let's say, a surgical glove around the hand and then embed that in silicone.
Mm-hmm.
And that would keep the silicone from leaking down into the joints where you're trying to avoid it.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's a problem for the silicone to be in the joints. So you've seen a Bowden cable on well, okay, so you know a bike cable. Like, you're not going to be able to actually, by pulling that cable, you're not going to be able to make the tube bend in any particular way. So it's not an issue of silicone in the way, it's an issue of having the silicone tube around it so that the cable can't physically shorten without compressing this tube axially. If it was just there's silicone in the joints, that'd be, I think, a lot easier to bend. It's rather hard to describe without one in your hand.
Right. I think I need a model or a diagram to really get this.
Yeah.
You're thinking similar to the dog bone joints that that we were doing earlier with.
Yeah, sort of similar.
Yeah. Sorry, the echo distracts me.
Yeah, with
I'm talking to him about it.
Yeah.
less dog bone and more kind of a sliding joint, just with silicone holding it straight.
We did something, so there are two things going on here. One is you're proposing another way of doing a joint, and the other is you're proposing a way of creating a skin around the whole thing. We did, I didn't, but Paul Richard in my lab did a joint in which one phalange was like this and another phalange was like this, and there was a rubber band just pulling these towards each other. That allowed it to function as a joint, the way tendons hold the fingers together, even though there wasn't a rubber band or a hinge mechanism. There was just the tension of the rubber band keeping the two things in place. So that can be done with dental rubber bands, for example.
It doesn't even need to be. I was doing the same thing just with shade cord, tying them together. I'm not sure that it even needs to be rubber bands.
Right. For that matter, that could be, well, but then it's a hinge. Never mind. So anyway, so that's, and then there's the interesting question of whether silicon skin could provide some of that service.
The return mechanism. And in a, similar vein, IGUS recently started selling triboelectric filament that has ridiculously low, well, really good wear properties and ridiculously low friction, both with itself and with metals. So we would perhaps want to try that, first of all, for our regular joints on screws, and second for plastic on plastic joints. That just popped into my head. So Bram says should be working now.
Okay.
Bram, try saying something. Smart guy.
Well, he's muted, but can you hear us?
I can unmute him.
I can, yes. I'm there.
There you go.
We hear you.
Hi.
I guess it's the late start here that makes things a bit more difficult.
That's okay.
Good to be here.
Likewise, I probably should have looked at your location before I scheduled it and then communicated with you offline to find out if an earlier time or a later time would have been better for you.
It's okay. I just I have an early day, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you want to tell us about Wevolver?
Yeah.
I looked at the website a bit and got a good feeling for all the projects that are connected to it, but didn't get into a lot more depth than that.
Could somebody share their screen of the Wevolver page, John?
Well, I can't, but Bram or someone.
I meant the page that you linked in your call to arms post, John.
Well, I don't have it handy, but Bram is the expert. So, Bram, paste the link, and frankly, I'm going to go offline because I know this story. But Bram, I think you should start pushing this as hard as you can. I think our quiet period ought to be over now. It's good, and you need some interaction.
All right.
You guys can signal me any way you want if you really need me for something, but I'm up against a deadline here. Sorry. Bye.
That's fair enough. Yeah, we'll pass to you if we need to. You're not shy. Thanks for joining us, John. Okay. Give me just a second, and I'll find the link, and I can share my page.
Did someone call my name and I didn't say anything?
I just pasted the link in the
No less.
Sidebar.
Okay. I have these moments where I just, did I space out or not? You know?
No. Well, you may have spaced out, but we didn't try to get your attention.
Okay, thank you.
Trouble, can you invite John P?
Yes.
He just requested an invite.
Okay, give me a second.
Guys, do you mind if I say something quickly?
Please do.
I have to leave for a class in about 10 minutes. Just wanted to catch everybody up on a couple of experiments I've done. One of them was on how the proximal moves. Because one thing that always annoys me is that it feels like this finger at this hinge right here at the palm that moves very easily with the elastic. And then you try to bend this, and the proximal doesn't bend very well. And so I've been working on that elastic. I don't know if you can see it from here, but I'll...
No, you've disconnected a lot. We just lost the last 25 seconds or so.
Okay, so I'm trying to make the proximal bend better.
Okay.
My experiment made it bend too well, so that these fingers actually bent at the proximal before they bent down.
Oh.
So I'll post a little bit more about that in the forums, but that's an experiment that didn't go too well. I've had another experiment that I actually feel very good about, and that's the finger shape. Now, I'll try to show you. This is a standard finger, and you can see there's a ball at the end. So that is not a normal finger shape. A normal finger shape is kind of a wedge, where it comes not quite to a point, but pretty close. And whenever I try to use our hands to pick things up, I always get very frustrated. Picking up something off a table is very hard. So I started looking at this kind of wedge shape, and I made it on a finger. I just did a quick hack, and I hope you can see that, but it's a little bit more triangular shaped.
It's a good thing the thing is red. It shows up really well.
Yeah, I like the red. I did that just because that's what was loaded, and then I make everything in red for this test hand because it's fun. But once I had all the fingers that way, I still have trouble picking up my cell phone because it's very flat, but picking up the TV remote or something like that shape off the table is a bit easier. And I really think that having this triangular scoop shape at the end is much more useful than the ball shape. It seems to get around the things and scoop them up more. So I'm going to put a forum post about that. And my way of getting people onto the forums is that I'll put a few pictures on the Google Plus page with a quick description and then say, if you want more detail about the R&D, here's the link to the forum.
Right.
So I'll have more about that up in the next day or two.
Yeah, that was kind of a strategy that we were talking about too at the forum meeting on Saturday as well. It's like, okay, we're going to use the forum for the detail stuff, and then the Google Plus group is going to be more announcements about R&D things that are happening on the forum.
Right.
Yes.
Also,
Got
using
going
Plus
there,
to
a little
announce
bit of tweaking the finger shapes. And I think it's actually useful, and I'm hoping a few other people can look at what I've done and see if they think that it does add something. Because I don't think it hurts at all on holding things. Right now, I think our hands are a lot better at holding things than they are at picking them up to begin with.
Right.
Bravo. That was a good report.
Good. Okay, well, that's me. So we can go to somebody else now.
Okay.
See ya.
Nick,
I'll jump in real quick and just say that I am staying pointed in the right direction, meaning that I can't really do my sensor work right now for lack of funding, so I'm starting to 3D print objects for pay.
Oh,
and
cool.
making a foray into that so I can scoop up a little cash to buy some parts.
Very
and
cool.
Also getting back into the Hand-O-Matic with
Laird.
Laird. Yeah, he's not here, so I can't see his name. And we haven't worked together in a few weeks because of his new job. So, but Laird and I have scheduled some time for every day to sit down and really crank out the work that needs to be done. I'm going to be like his intelligent typewriter. And he's going to guide me like Santa Claus with his reins on the reindeer and something like that. I'm running out of analogies.
No worries.
But so that's all I have to say for this week, and I'll just listen to what other people have to say.
Okay.
Bye.
So I've got the Wevolver page for the RIT arm linked on my screen share, but I don't know my way around as well as Bram does. Bram, do you know how to screen share?
I'll figure it out.
It's
actually
on
pretty.
the left-hand side of the screen.
Yes.
The second box down is a green, looks like a monitor with an arrow curved and up to the right.
Yeah.
And then it'll give you a list of whatever web browser windows you've got open. And
Yeah.
Make sure you pick the right one.
You can also share everything if you wanted to.
Yeah. If you wanted to. Oh, there it is.
Yeah? Okay. Good.
Yay.
Yeah, so because I'm logged in and listed as a member of a project, I have maybe a few buttons more than that you guys would have, so that the edit buttons might not be there if you guys see it, but for the rest you should have the same view if you go to the link. Yeah, I'll just give like a quick introduction, I guess, to what the site does.
Yes, we would like a tour.
All right, nice. Yeah, so the idea is that to make documentation of rather complex projects like these accessible, it's divided into separate modules. So that's what you see on the right-hand side. So different modules of the ARM, and you use this map sort of to browse through the project. So you can click on a module, and then on the left-hand side, you have sort of the content of the module described, and there are the files. In this case, there's just one file. But let me pick one with a bit more. These are the files, and there's a previewer for documents, for STLs, images, etc. Yeah, so this modular approach would sort of allow you to keep the content of each module of the ARM sort of separated, so that it doesn't come this big pile of files and texts and long documents, but it's a bit more structured. Also, that it provides a bit more, if you change something in one module, that not the whole project is just disturbed by that. And so, as a member of the project, you can just change the description text, you can change files, upload files. You can also edit, change the stream map at any time. So if you realize that structure is different, you can just drag and drop items. Okay, it should be structured in this way or another way. You can add modules or change modules, delete modules. So I'll put it back just to be sure. So it provides in a way, modular, flexible system to share the documentation of projects like this ARM. And then there's some other features that allow people to follow the project. People can make a clone of it, which basically creates a copy of the project if they want to, sort of create their own version of it. You can see the latest activity that's been going on. That's a very quick rundown of it. You can zoom in on the map. Zoom in and out.
Are you ready to take questions?
I am. Please,
okay.
Please fire away.
All right. In terms of integrating this with Handomatic in some kind of way, is there any way we can pass the information of the hierarchy into an OpenSCAD format, like a translator, or have this thing spit out a hierarchical description in OpenSCAD?
You mean of the hierarchy of the whole project?
Well, yes, and with instantiating the modules and putting their translation and rotation with respect to the root object, with respect to each parent object, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So that we can, in any format that we can then translate into OpenSCAD. Because what would be awesome would be if you could, everybody could sit there and buzz around on this thing, and when it's time for Jon or whoever it is to say, okay, this is approved for e-NABLE, then he hits a button and we just translate it, and it pops up in a format we can use in Handomatic.
Like if we can, since most of our OpenSCAD stuff, we're just importing STLs, and then it might be a good way to link a repository to the STL images, but I'm not sure if the projects merge that well. I think this is mostly for keeping track of development of the different parts rather than a repository for OpenSCAD code.
Okay. Oh, go ahead, Bram.
Yeah, I think because we haven't tried something like that before. So we are releasing changing to a new API, which is open and would allow you to pull all this data into other applications. But
go ahead.
Yeah, so I think we would need to sort of build some custom stuff to really pull it into OpenSCAD in the right way.
Yeah. As far as the Handomatic is concerned, we'd probably have to have, well, the Handomatic website would have to know the location of the STLs that it's grabbing from the Wevolver page.
Let me clarify. You finish. I just gotta stop interrupting. You finish, Trouble.
Okay, I was gonna say I don't know how much customization of the parts, the STL parts, needs to be done before they're ready in OpenSCAD. But I don't know. It might be possible to put the the files in the format we want them for the Handomatic into the Wevolver page, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that buys us anything better than what we're currently doing on that project.
Well, the reason I'm asking is that when we come to a point where we say, okay, this arm is ready to go into Handomatic, we don't just take the STL files, we also need the offset from the origin to the pivot point in XYZ coordinates, and we need the rotation range and the axis of rotation that object has relative to the parent. So you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's design information. We can't make that stuff up, or I mean, we can make it up if you want to, but I don't think that's a good idea.
The location of each of the parts in relation to all the other parts when it's put together as a full model in the Handomatic has to be known.
Exactly. You have a way of summarizing what I want meander through.
I'm not sure. I don't know, Bram, with the Wevolver, is the location of each of the modules in relation to each other something that is stored, or is that not?
No, that's definitely stored and retrievable. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, we would have to sort of figure out exactly how you would need the information, but we can definitely get that.
Okay.
So it might be something that we want to get Laird to look at.
Yeah.
Because this might be, I don't know, consolidating projects is not a bad idea.
They call that greasing the chute. So when the pigs come in, they're going to slide right in. So, you know, it's kind of an analogy, but, you know, in other words, optimizing the process before the process gets put into place.
I've sent an invite to Laird if he wants to join us, but he may be busy.
It's very busy these days.
Yeah. I was going to say hi to Bob, but he's gone again. Yeah, I'm with Nick on this. I like the way the projects are laid out, the way you can get to each module through the tree. It's a nice, simple way to browse through things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so our approach has always been to make things very visual and very accessible in a way to a broad audience. So that people that don't have, for example, that much of an engineering background are still able to sort of understand how a project's built up and able to find all the documentation, able to participate. So, for example, below each description and soon attached to each files are comment sections that people can use to interact and start having a discussion on that module. And I think that's very important, that it's accessible for people from different backgrounds, different with different skills and expertise, and then it's sort of a high level in the repository of a project, and then you can use more tailored tools like Scott, like GitHub for the code parts, etc. That are in a way more for specific expertises. That's sort of the approach. And I think the application is in a way still in the early stage, so one of the things we want to improve heavily is the ability to clone projects, work on different versions and push back improvements to the original project. But obviously versioning for hardware is a difficult topic that nobody has been able to bend his head around yet. So that's more of a long-term roadmap thing for us.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, John.
I was just going to say I have a stupid question. I know I'm a little behind, but hey, you know, if you don't ask the questions, you don't get the answers. We had the emails that came out that said, you know, a call to arms. And I'm talking about this. What is the big push for the call to arms? Does the call to arms push documentation, which we did, but is it want more documentation in the Wevolver? What's the end game here? What are we trying to shoot for?
John's call to arms was the fact that we started an ARM team that was supposed to organize all the different ARM design efforts in e-NABLE, but the team lead had to back out, and that was in mid-February, and basically the ARM team initiative has kind of languished since then, and so John felt like he wanted to get things started again.
Okay. Yeah, so I did a part. I'm the optional rail, right? But I documented that, and I haven't heard anything contrary to that. Of course, then again, mine's optional. It's not like it's a super important part, but
could be to somebody.
Somebody, hey, it's a cool thing. The rail system, I think, has a lot of options. But all right, so was the game plan just to get back on the stick and make sure everything is what it needs to be, or was there a lot of?
It was a call for us to start up trying to get the ARM team going again.
Okay.
Right.
And so at this point, as I said in that email thread, I don't have time to be the ARM team leader, so I was saying if somebody else wants to step up, I'm happy to support that as part of the team facilitation part of things.
Right.
But it has to be somebody else. It can't be me.
I understand. And my only question is, if they're wanting documentation, and I'm the optional rail, what are they wanting me to do more than what I've already done? Because I've documented some stuff already. Are they needing more, or what's the end game?
Well, that's the thing. I don't know that I noticed any specific "please do more documentation" in that email thread, and maybe I missed it. But like I said, the call to arms was literally just trying to get back on track with getting the ARM team going so that we could organize the ARM efforts. And someday it would be nice to have an ARM team and a hand team and a fill-in-the-blank team. And then each of those teams could splinter off into smaller teams. But we got to start somewhere, so that's why we picked the ARM team, I guess.
Okay.
Also included in that call to arms was introducing the Wevolver project, because the project gives us a place that we can host the different projects we're working on so that they can be browsed more easily, and the documentation is attached to the part as you're going through the modules. There's information there that tells you about each of the parts, allows you to download the files to create the parts. There's a lot of information on that Wevolver page.
Okay.
That we're setting up, and so there was some of it was a call to arms to start using that for hosting our designs.
Yeah, so we get all the initiatives in one place.
Okay, so Wevolver is the preferred place to put all the STL files instead of like Thingiverse or any other GitHub or any other place. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, actually, that's kind of an interesting question.
That's maybe something Bram can answer better than I can.
Well, actually, I'm talking about our e-NABLE structure as well.
Right, where we post things and stuff.
Yeah, because we're actually working on launch process. We're actually having Joe's having a meeting on Thursday, I guess it is, about launch process. But part of the deal is, it's fine to post things on Thingiverse, but there's kind of the idea of post things that are sort of in process and not ready for public consumption. Post those in like GitHub or something, and maybe Wevolver would work if that was something that Wevolver could do. But the idea is to post it in sort of a private area first for the developers so that people can develop it and stuff, and then when it's ready for average Joe recipient to print it out for themselves, then it would go on a more public place.
How would we know if something's ready?
That's part of what we're trying to figure out. That's part of the process.
Questions we need to figure out how to answer.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about not only how to launch, products, particular designs and stuff, but also how does something become e-NABLE approved? That's part of that conversation. So we don't know yet.
I think last time we talked about, whenever this came up a while back, we were the end result of the conversation was we need to have a group of people who have received prosthetics from us before and are willing to become quote-unquote guinea pigs that can give us feedback.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There is a testing team that is in the works, but again, that's also going to be yet more part of the launch process hangout.
Gotcha.
So yeah, we're trying to hammer out these flows soon.
I have a demo.
Oh. Hey, what you got there?
Well, let's see. I'll get it closer. How about that? There we go.
Ah.
Now, we talked about this. It's not done yet. It's still very much demo. But, you know,
Right.
have a rail system. I'm sorry, a rod. Have a rod between fingers. And the premise here is, you know, when you move your palm, you can close your finger, right? Because you're pushing the rod closed, right?
Okay.
I forget, is this exoskeleton or is this just normal e-NABLE hand?
Well, I think when we talked a couple weeks back, we were pondering the idea of an exoskeleton, you know, using steel rods or some type of rod, and to give us more grip strength, right? And so
Right, the more leverage.
more leverage, exactly, because strings can only give you so much. But
Right.
with a solid rod of some kind, all the way from the fingers all the way back, you know, you can get a lot more strength out of it. And so I was just, you know, letting you know I have somewhat of a demo.
Yay.
Show and tell is great. Everybody loves show and tell.
Oh, yeah.
I have a question for Bram.
Yes.
Hey, Bram, on your screen share, in the if you go to the top level, it shows the whole arm assembled together. Is that right? Or you click on that top level button.
The overview.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And there we go.
Yes.
Oh, so this is cat. I didn't get a good look at it before. These are files that people have put together. It's a documentation of the use of the arm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
So do we need to log in to see this?
No. It's
So
now.
this is-
Yeah, it's now an open project. Actually, yeah, you can choose when you start a project if it's open or private. So when I started this with Jon to test, we made it open so that it's more easily to share with you guys. So it's kind of, because you guys are talking about, yeah, if this should be used more for development or also more as a public repository. That's just a decision you can make. Like, do you want to use this purely internally and only that people who you invite can see this, or yeah, do you want this to be openly accessible to anyone?
Right.
And it means that still only project members who've been invited can make edits, but anyone is able to see the project, download files, follow a project, comment on projects, etc.
Is there a way to turn on or off whether it's open or closed?
I can do that for you from the back end at the moment. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can it be done per module, or is it only per project?
At the moment, it's per project, but that's definitely something I would want to incorporate. That you can do it more on a more granular scale. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very helpful.
It might be nice to be able to have, for example, there's a lot of different pieces to the hand. We were talking, Jason was telling us earlier about different variations on finger design for more pointed might give better gripping and things like that. So it might be nice to have multiple modules for fingers that are available, but have some of the more experimental ones. It's a bad example. There's not a lot of damage that can be done with a bad design with a finger, but if you had something that was risky that you didn't want to share with the world yet, but you wanted to be able to put it there, have that particular module be private until you're ready to release it.
Yeah.
Does this hierarchy have optional parts?
What do you mean?
So, like, for example, on the Cyborg Beast, we have different finger types that go into it. Can we represent that with this hierarchy? like a cyborg beast hand or something like that.
Yeah, you could for example create additional modules.
Okay.
So
You
you
can
just go
see it.
there. I'll just
Where it
demonstrate.
splits there, that's what that means?
Yeah, each of those splits is a new part. Yeah, this is the module for the RIT arm, which includes the Raptor hand, the Cyborg Beast hand, all the different types of hands. It also has an elbow and has a ball joint and has. So he's already got multiple hand types being displayed, and that's multiple parts. And each of those parts has branches for fingers and for whatever else.
Could you click on the Cyborg Beast one so we can see that?
There's one type of finger, and then when you click on the other one, it'll be a different finger.
Right.
Yeah, that's the one with bumps, and this is the one without bumps.
Yeah, and there you get the files.
Wait, what is this called? Norris Fin? Oh.
Finger.
Well, okay. Are you saying? I'm starting to get a little confused myself. So are there? Sorry, I'm hearing an echo again. Are there different types of fingers under Cyborg Beast, and then a bunch of fingers under Norris Fin, and a bunch of fingers under Raptor Hand?
No.
I mean, I guess we can play with that ourselves. I was just wondering. So you
I think in this case it's yeah. So there's fingers in the Cyborg Beast, and there's different fingers in the Norris fingers.
Yeah. That's not that Cyborg Beast that's in that window right up there that he's highlighting right now is not the hand. That's the Cyborg Beast finger.
Yeah.
And if you go to the left a little bit, there's another box that I think is just the hand. No, down one.
That one.
Yeah, there.
Yeah, and it's because this particular project is really set up to represent the RIT arm. So this is not the like not all the e-NABLE hands and arms that are out there. So it's just
e-NABLE hands.
Yeah, I can show you what it's based on. Jon sent me the 0.9 document, and there was also this image. I don't know if it's big enough for you guys to see now, but there was sort of a rundown of all the components that together make up the RIT arm. And because the RIT arm is compatible with the Raptor hand, that's why the hand is also up there. So basically, for the hand, you can either choose the Raptor hand, and you would need the Raptor adapter module for that, or the RIT hand, and that has then two options: using the Cyborg fingers or the Norris fingers.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
So
the RIT hand is the Cyborg Beast hand with a couple of different finger options.
Right.
I'm confused about the hierarchy. Now, the hierarchy is needed to represent the hierarchy of parts in a device. And there is another kind of hierarchy that's used to represent optional parts at different places. You know, we've got, are both of those represented separately here? Or are we using the same hierarchical description to cover optional parts as well as the hierarchy of the parts?
No optional parts have been added yet.
You just showed me some over there.
Yeah, we showed the different fingers are optional. You can choose between them.
How do you know the difference between whether you're talking about an optional part or a hierarchy of parts?
The first branch, which has a lot of different pieces, shows all of the main sections of the arm. The forearm cup that fits over the arm, that fits over the forearm with the joint below it for the ball joint, with all the different pieces. Each section of the arm has more branches sometimes that indicate different options for that part.
So the first layer of hierarchy describes all the parts of the arm, and the subsequent layers of hierarchy describe optional parts.
Right. The first one, on the first layer, the first one to the top is forearm cup. The second one is just the hands, the different hand options.
So this thing, wait a minute, I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
That's right.
So there's no hierarchical description of the parts that make up the arm. I guess that makes sense because arms are pretty linear, and you have the shoulder, and then you have the bicep area, and then you have the elbow, and then you have the this, the that, the other in a line.
This is just for the RIT arm, which is it's the arm for people who don't have a palm, so that they can use their elbow to actuate the fingers.
Right.
And if you look at the branching on the page up, or earlier, you saw that the first set of branches were all different pieces of the arm. One points to the part that goes around the forearm. One goes to the part that goes around the upper arm. One part goes to just the hands. And you can see that the hand one branches out into the raptor hand, or labeled the RIT hand, which is a Cyborg Beast style hand. And the Cyborg Beast hand branches further into different types of fingers that can be part of it.
I think what I'm getting to is the tool is beautiful from a very high level perspective. It lacks something in the way it's represented here. The tool may be just fine for what I want to do in terms of a detailed description of the parts. For example, we look at these parts in the first level of hierarchy. Okay, I give those parts to a factory worker and say, assemble this rid arm. He or she has got to figure out how all the parts fit together. And they may not figure it out. Well, anyway, I'm accustomed to coming from the engineering world where we describe these kind of things in documentation, and we say, take part A, connect it to slot B on part B, and stuff. Like putting together stuff from a cereal box. And I see that lacking here, but I see that it could be represented here.
Yeah, I think the description section on the left can explain how all the pieces interact.
Well, okay, I guess we can do that way, yeah.
Well, it's already there.
Yeah, I guess it's done that way, yeah.
Because how would you, you were just mentioning that you saw an option that the tool would be able to do so? What was your idea about that?
What I would see this rid arm hierarchy as being, there'd be a root, which would be the upper left part, the part that attaches to the person's arm, would be the root item. And then the next layer of hierarchy would be the part that attaches to that part, or more than one, if more than one attached to that part.
Yep.
And so on and so on. And then
you want the tree to resemble an arm.
Yeah, basically.
And not options.
Yeah, so you're confused because this is more of a family tree than a schematic on how to put the arm together.
Yeah, I'm confused from an engineering standpoint because I see information being presented in two different ways at different levels of the hierarchy, which makes
I think you're right. But that's in a way just the way how we set up the project now, because actually, because this map is totally flexible. In a way, we're now sort of discussing the setup because we could change it at any time if that would make more sense. So I'm not sure if
how these are laid out can be arbitrarily adjusted.
Yes, exactly.
If you wanted to do this in a different way, where the first link is specifically talking about the whole arm, then actually I don't know. The way I'm seeing this right now is it's more of a decision tree than a diagram of the arm.
Yes. It's not an engineering description of the arm at all.
Right.
It's a decision tree of what.
And then
which is okay for what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, we just have to wrap our head around what is this thing so that we can use it.
What does it mean?
Yeah.
Is that how we want to use the tool? Because if we want to use the tool in an engineering way, then we would use a different hierarchy of description. Or can we have like 2 screens of hierarchy, one be an engineering screen and the other one be like a higher level screen, higher level bird's eye view type of screen like this thing is, a decision screen. I'm just throwing up ideas. I don't know if it's a good idea or not, but I would go for the engine. If I were to do this, I would do what we did on Handomatic, what I did on my little soldier guy I made. You haven't seen that, but like characters in virtual worlds, there you have the root of the character is the pelvis. Okay, that's the origin of the character. Presumably, when we get into exoskeletons and doing entire bodies of people, we'll need to decide where the root of the person is. And then the parts that attach to that are the next layer of hierarchy, the abdomen and the 2 thighs. And then the parts that attach to those, and that way,
shoulders and knees.
Shoulders, knees, stuff like that. So when you rotate the upper leg, the lower leg and the foot follow with it, kind of thing.
So this doesn't sound so much like wanting to know how the tool works. I think it's more less what you're getting into is it's maybe time to just experiment with creating a project of your own from scratch and see what you can do.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can actually make a clone of the project, and so that you don't have to put all the files in yourself again. So you can actually start experimenting with that clone if it helps you out.
Yeah, like making a copy of a folder and then just fooling around with the copy and leaving the original alone.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mess with any of the existing files. If I were going to take a look at doing that with this tool, which I guess maybe I could do. I would just make a man, an exoskeleton of a humanoid character, a person, and because eventually we're going to get to that point, we may as well operate the tool from that perspective, all the way down to the fingers.
If you wanted to start with an existing project, you could do what Bram is suggesting and just make a clone of the current RIT arm, and that might give you a little bit of time to play with how the branches are organized and get a feel for how you would adjust it if you wanted to.
Maybe I'll just go in and poke around and try to get familiar with it.
Yeah, please do. I mean, it would be very, very good to see actually how you would structure this. And,
I'm free to start like a separate.
Yeah, you're allowed to clone projects.
Yeah, you use the fork button for that, which is in the.
Oh man, you know me and that stuff, cloning and forks and stuff. All right, all right. I've got to learn to deal with it. It's kind of a funny joke.
Okay. All right. So back to the tour. So you said that you can clone a project by clicking on fork.
Yes.
So members is just how many people are part of it? It's a list of who's part of it?
Yeah, that's the sort of team members who have editor access. So
okay.
It's now those guys. But actually, we can invite anyone with an email or with an account to become a member, and then they have full editing access. So yeah, next to that you got the button to create a clone, and also if there's clones, see a list of them. And yeah, people can start following the project. So which means if an update is done, they get a message, an email, with the latest activity.
Mm-hmm.
So you can sort of
Messages about activity, including things like new people have joined, or changes have been made, or whatever else.
Yes, exactly.
And those following notifications are sent via email, it looks like.
Yeah, you get a weekly digest, and you also get a notification if somebody replies to a comment of yours.
Very cool. Yeah, we always need those email things because there's so much to keep track of in e-NABLE that it's just wonderful to have it all come into your email box.
One of the nice things about Gmail is that it's got a very good search engine built into it.
It does, yeah.
Which makes keeping track of what people have said and when much easier. When people ask questions that are repeats of questions that have been asked before, it's really easy to use my email box to search for answers that the question has received in the past and just put a link in a comment to a previous time that the question has been asked and been answered.
Mm-hmm. That's very important. Okay, so what is the map button up by the beta thingy?
That is basically just giving you a full screen of the map, and it's mainly for if there's even more complex projects, then it just allows you to zoom in a bit more and get into a bit more detail. But in a way that's and it's also if you have like a very small screen, it will show you only the content, and you can toggle between map and content using that button.
Cool.
Yeah, and I can also show you sort of the rest of the sites. If you would go and click on the number of the members, it should load by now. Or you click on the name of a person, it loads sort of their profile page, and which gives sort of a bit of basic profile info and a list of projects. And on this side you'll see the network, and in this case it's a bit cramped, but it's basically showing all the projects that are related to that person, and then you can sort of browse through that network and see what people are working on.
You can also see that each of the projects that are on that circle, you see the extra branch outside of the circle, a list of who is involved with that project.
Oh, cool.
Yes, exactly. So it's a way to sort of see what else people are involved in, and I think it's now still a bit of a hidden feature because we're mainly focusing on more the project map functionality. But I think this could be really nice also for the e-NABLE team to sort of see like, okay, what else are people working on? What's their expertise, etc. What are the connections in the network? It's quite it can be quite interesting.
Wow. You could look at that for a long time.
I'm logged in now, and I'm moving around. I'm trying to. Well, let me share my screen. If I may. I'm just trying to navigate and get familiar. Sharing the Wevolver window.
Alright, I'm going to go look at your screen.
No, I'm looking. Makey robot, it says RIT arm. That's the RIT arm. That's where we just were.
Yes.
So I click on that circle. Wait. And this is.
List of who's involved.
Who's on it? Okay. And then these are the projects that those people are all working on.
Yep, exactly.
How do I find myself? I click on Les Hall.
Yep.
There you go.
Point. I guess I better get on the project.
Yeah, I guess we better invite you to the e-NABLE project.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm not part of it now. I'm not part of this database. No wonder I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah. It's new.
Yep.
So that's
How do we
what
do
we're
that?
doing is learning.
Well,
So
we can invite you right away to project actually.
Yeah, just maybe stop sharing your screen, Bram.
Okay. Oh, man.
I,
oh yeah, to stop sharing your screen, Bram, there's a
found it.
aha,
Yeah,
cool.
you got it.
Yeah, quick learner.
Mhm.
Very good.
Another thing that you can do, Les, is when you're looking at a specific project, there's a button on the right or on the left-hand side that says "Explore this project," and then when you're on the page for that project, there's a follow button that makes sure that you get notifications for things that happen in that project.
Mhm.
Okay,
Les,
I did that. I did that for the rid arm.
Yeah, Les.
Yeah.
You need to stop sharing your screen too.
Okay.
Les, what's the email address that you used for your account?
I think I found the invitation that you already sent me.
Oh, okay, yeah. And your username is Les. See if I can find
That's all, I guess. Looking for the right window here. Window help.
Do we need to be doing this on air though?
No, hey, we don't. You're right.
Sorry.
That's okay. People forget that they're on live, so I figured I'd mention it.
Good.
Hi, Mom. She's not watching. She's
Yeah, we're live
gallivanting
and
around
public,
the world.
so just about anybody could join us too. So I got to be on the alert.
Yeah. Yep.
I might have to actually include an explanation of what e-NABLE is in my invites, since I'm now inviting the world.
That's all right. They'll figure it out if they really want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So guys, let me know if there's any more questions or if questions later on pop up. You got my email address, probably even my phone number is in there. So just drop a note. I'm happy to help you guys out with it.
Yes, thank you.
Go ahead.
I was going to say thanks for joining us in the middle of your night.
Yeah,
or early in the morning.
Yeah. So I actually did have a question, Bram. Have you checked? I'm trying to see comparisons. Have you seen the Autodesk Sandbox?
No, I haven't.
Okay, we can add you to that, and then you can look around on that and kind of compare your tool with ours. Well, theirs. I don't know. Andreas is the one that works at Autodesk, and he's part of e-NABLE, so it's sort of ours. So, but yeah, we have a sandbox for designs and stuff. So I was just wanting to see what you thought of, what the comparison between the two tools was.
Yeah. I'll. Yeah. Please invite me. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, we'll contact you offline.
Good.
Sorry if I seemed overly critical. I'm not being critical, I guess.
No, you're asking questions, which is
Okay.
allowed.
Confused.
These are for.
What?
Okay.
Yeah.
So anything else? Anybody else had any things they wanted to show off?
I have trivial things, like I made a battery holder.
All right, you were showing us some of your other battery holders last week, or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, this battery holder holds 2 D cells on a breadboard.
That's
Can
really
you
cool.
get it up a little higher?
A little higher so you're not overlapped with the pictures of everybody below.
Thank you. Well, not that close.
Yeah, it's not the close, it's just how high.
Yeah, it's up. Like, here is good. That's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the idea is, even though it's kind of trivial, I made a battery holder, how silly. But really, when it comes to I'm preparing to do work on the e-NABLE Spidey Sense touch sensing and temperature sensing.
Right.
As soon as I get some parts. And while I'm waiting for the parts, I decided to make a development platform that out of the parts that I already have that I could work on, you know, for prototyping the circuit and so forth. And in the process, I discovered my programmer is broken, so I'm going to need to do something about that. I think I can fix it by soldering some wires on it, or else it's $20 for a new programmer, or start using trinkets instead of the chips themselves. But one way or another, I'll get around that problem. And this is just me getting organized and getting down to brass tacks, so to speak.
How does that battery holder grip the board?
Oh, if you look on the back side, the board comes with a adhesive layer.
Oh, okay.
And it has a peel and stick, a peel off thing, and then you just cut it out. So you cut it out where you don't want to remove the peel and stick, and then you remove the cover, the thin plastic cover where you want it to stick. And I designed a little there's a little ridge running right in there, right down the middle, to line it up against the edge of the board so it's nice and square. And you know, it did a pretty good job. Could have been better, but it's good enough. It'll work. And
you might take some of these little projects and try putting them into the Wevolver, and then share them to the
as a test.
Yeah, as a test so that you can become familiar with it. Giving yourself a project that you're working on makes it easier to learn the tool that you're using, I find.
Oh yes, why would I go and do an exoskeleton of the whole body when I'm working on this Spidey Sense TNT project?
Right. Exactly.
I should define the Spidey Sense TNT project.
And these
simple
battery holders that you've been building over the last couple of weeks are the kind of things I could see Debbie Loom jumping on board. She'd probably print these and make use of them because she does a lot of off-the-cuff electronics things that she plays with, and this looks like the kind of tool that would make a lot of the things she's doing a lot easier or a lot more easy to fix and then clean up after.
Yeah, I've been getting into some fitting pieces together kind of things. Like this is a box that we plan to sell. It's a miniature version of a project box.
Okay.
And it has a little sliding lid on it. And then like this was a concept for an underwater motor that didn't work because I didn't get the theory right on it.
Okay.
It's terribly embarrassing, but it's a really good example of making parts that fit together properly. And you know, I've got these 6 magnets gripping each other onto 3 fins, and the magnets stay there real good. And then you can see how I didn't even try to be neat, but the coil turned out really neat on this and everything. So, you know, I've been just playing around with stuff like that while I'm waiting. So,
oh, sorry.
That's my show and tell.
Yeah, Les, something that keeps coming to mind for me is that people are working on myoelectric things, and they probably may have figured it out themselves, but you know, in the future, people might need little encapsulators for their electronics, and I could see. I mean, I don't really know enough about the whole myoelectric thing to know, but you know, wouldn't it make sense to do battery-operated myoelectric hands sometimes, or you know, turn our current mechanical hands into electronic ones or battery-operated ones or things like that?
2 projects that have been coming up a lot that are very closely linked to each other are people have been making rails to attach things to hands
Right.
So it might make sense to find a way to build housings for electronics that can attach to rails that are common designs already.
Those
Right.
rails are crazy.
Yeah.
They got issues. I don't know who those people are.
Yeah. I love the Picatinnies.
Well, I have issues too, so
Don't we all?
I have a lot of issues.
I have not only issues, I've got a subscription and the whole set of back issues. New issue every month.
Yep.
That's why I feel so comfortable amongst you all.
On the myoelectric thing,
Yeah.
something that comes to mind is maybe documentation or maybe even a little bit of coding. Because I think right now still some of that is, I would say, still very much beta. Or is it possible that, I don't know, I mean, I'd be willing to put one of those arms together and maybe be a guinea pig. But how documented is the code and everything necessary to make those arms do what they need to do? I mean, are we using Arduino? Are we using Raspberry Pi? Can we use both? What's the preferred method? Who has the code? How easy is the code to modify and edit? You know, stuff like that.
I think that the UCF, the
Limitless.
that Albert Monero put together.
Limitless.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's called Limitless.
Yeah, Limitless. I think that they're using Arduino chips in their, like, 80 megas and stuff like that. And I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure that they will give us code if you ask for it. I'm not sure where they're hosting it, though.
Yeah, the three initiatives that I know of about myoelectric arms that have been very active in the Google Plus group are the one that Ali Lemus has done, the ones, I guess, that Christian Silva has done, and then Yu Chi. He's been working on myoelectric stuff as well. So those are the three people that you need to be searching for in the community.
Albert Monero.
Yeah, and Albert Monero, sorry. Four.
Yeah.
So those are the people I tend to tag on myoelectric posts.
When we started doing, we had a task force or a task group for myoelectric that was headed by Jeremy Simon.
Yeah.
I think that kind of stopped shortly after the Limitless arm was released because most of the things we were trying to solve were already solved.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if the code is not accessible,
I'm pretty sure it is. I just don't know personally where it is.
okay, I got you. Well, you know, it's just something to ask.
Yeah, and it's something to search, put in the search box for the Google Plus community as well.
Yeah, and Nick Parker was also talking on the last Hangout about one of the guys that he goes to school with wanted a bioengineering project, and he had suggested single board myoelectric sensor with an 80 mega, so you had the Arduino and myoelectric, possibly multiple myoelectric inputs, so that you could, you know, measure signals from multiple muscles on the arm. And I'm saying multiple times, starting to get tongue-tied.
The smaller processors might be better suited for such applications.
Right, like the AT-Tinies and...
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the AT-Tinies. They're the ones I'd like to use.
Yeah, they're good for what we're playing with. They fit nice and neat in something the size of a thumb drive, and don't take up a lot of space on the arm, therefore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they have certain limitations that you can get around, but they're not for, you know, talking over a USB link or something like that. They're you know, a serial link. USB.
Right.
But they're more for an embedded function. So that's why I'm looking at them for the Spidey. I'm using them for the Spidey sense thing.
Yeah, small modules that can be used in multiple locations. Your Spidey sense, you're looking at ways to read signals for like heat and pressure and things like that. How are you? What's your output? What are your output design ideas?
Oh, this is a research meeting, and I haven't even talked about how I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
This is the time to talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where the crazy stuff starts to happen. I mean, I've thought about things like you can do purely mechanical sensor feedback for pressure by those, basically a balloon on both ends of a tube, so that when the balloon on the fingertip pushes pressure on something, it causes inflation on the other end, which could be along the wrist or palm, and it could even be providing pressure on this fingertip provides pressure to right by the palm where the finger would be if they had a finger. And there's a lot of games like that can be played, but there's also the idea of just electrical signals to things that vibrate or things that light up, and I was curious what you're thinking about.
I'm going with the electrical route. I'm trying to get to the site. Here we go. All right, let me screen share, and I'll take you on a quick, brief little description tour, which I should have done half an hour ago.
That's all right. We had a agenda this time, which we don't usually have, so we were focusing on other things.
Yeah.
Screen share. Okay. Here's Adafruit. Oh, they're celebrating 10 years. They're my favorite company for getting stuff because they're so fun, and they support women engineers and kids, and they do a lot of research and make projects that are interesting, and they also have a lot of interesting products. Like, for example, if I put FSR into the search, this is a force-sensitive resistor. Basically, it'll give you a resistance of 100K to a megohm for $7.
So that you can measure when it's flexed?
When it's pressed on. There's a finger she's pressing on. And they go $7, $8 each, and they anywhere you get them, they're like that. But look what they sell. This DIY sensor film kit is only $18, and it's got a little 4x6 inch sensor area, the 5 layers you need, and I don't know if you need to apply heat to put the thing together or not, but you hopefully I can make enough for one hand out of it, probably make enough for 2 or 3 hands out of this, and only be $18. And these other sensors that people sell are not the right size and shape for our fingers anyway.
Okay. While you're on this webpage, Les, do a search for pager motors.
Okay, yeah, that's the output device I was thinking of doing.
Yeah, I have a Northpaw somewhere that I need to replace the pager motors in.
Motor. Oh, you got something you need to.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to buy some more of these in a bit, but make it pager motor so you don't get actually moving. Oh, it didn't come up.
I know they sell them.
Yeah, they might. I know that SparkFun does.
Yeah, SparkFun's prices are higher.
Yeah.
I'm not happy with SparkFun's prices. And a couple of times I called them up about products that had issues, and I didn't get good response from them. Here's some motors.
Right.
Here's a vibrating mini motor disc.
There you go. That's
I was thinking of using 2 of these with a motor driver chip for the output feed, the output feel, and LEDs for the output visual.
Right.
And see, so that way, you've got the touch sensor, you've got a thermistor which we can find and take a look at. But basically, it's a little bitty grain of rice light bulb looking thing on some long leads.
Yeah.
Gives you 100K negative temperature coefficient. What's that?
I said there are a lot of thermistors in a 3D printer. So when you're buying 3D printer kits, you spend a lot of time trying carefully to not break the thermistors as you're putting them in place.
Exactly. Why do they make those things so delicate? I guess so that they
can fit in a small spot.
Yeah, and sense something real well. But anyway, so this motor, or there's a long skinny kind.
Right.
I don't see the long skinny kind here, but I think they sell it. Anyway, oh, here's a drive for the haptic motor controller. It's $8. It probably drives a couple motors. This is the dual L293D. I got like 8 or 10 of these chips. Now you drive a motor with one of those. Okay. But the problem is it takes 4.5 volts on the logic side.
Right.
So you've got to use 3 batteries to get that much voltage.
Right.
And then you've got to regulate it. So
what size batteries are you using to control them?
To put it on a hand, I would have to use a AAA battery.
Have you looked at the Adafruit also sells larger rechargeable batteries?
Yes.
You might look at using some of those.
Those are a good option for a project like this, actually, now that you talk about it.
Yeah, they've got a few of their Arduino boards have battery chargers built into them, and a lot of really nice, these little flat cell batteries.
Yeah, LiPo they call them, LiPo. And here's a charger for only $18. You know, the problem is at this point I can't be paying $20 here and $10 there for stuff. But that's just because we have no money in e-NABLE, and I have no money in my private life at the moment because I'm in a nursing home. But, you know, I'm going to start trying to generate some, and when I get out of the nursing home in 2 months, I can put a couple $100 a month into e-NABLE. So we can really get rocking and rolling with some prototypes. It's just a matter of time before that breaks. Or maybe we get some funding or something, who knows what.
Yeah.
But, and also the thermistor. So the block diagram, see, that's what I should be doing, is drawing a block diagram for you guys too, right? I did sort of sketch it out in the forum post. Is 5 of these 10K precision epoxy thermistors, 1 on each finger. 5 of those custom
pressure sensors.
Force sensitive resistors, and they all go to 2 voltage dividers, 1 for temperature and 1 for pressure, for touch. And that way, they're all on the lower side of the voltage divider, and with a single resistor pulling up and a capacitor to ground. So very simple voltage divider input, typical thing, into the analog to digital converters of the AT-Tiny85 chip. And then if any one of them goes low, then it triggers the actuator to begin vibrating. I thought about configurations where we sense all 5 of the inputs and then drive 5 actuators somehow, but I mean, it's just it's a hand. It needs simplicity. It just needs simplicity. So I wouldn't want, if I was operating a hand, to have 5 different vibrating motors and 5 different LEDs for each thing I'm sensing ringing off. You know, I mean, that'd be kind of excessive and impractical. So getting it down to 1 sensor for each type, 1 actuator for each type of sensing was a little bit of a conceptual leap that made sense. So, and putting them all in parallel in a voltage divider is a very easy way to do that, simple way to do that. So the circuit ends up being very practical. And I'm just, you know, ready to start building it. I guess I should document it on the Wevolver. Is it Wevolver?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
I'll document this on Wevolver, and then everybody can take a look at it and understand what it's all about.
And also the R&D forums would be a good place to put some of this stuff.
I did. It's up there.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'll start with.
If you look at R&D General, the Spidey Sense post has got all that stuff.
Right. I've looked at it in the past. I need to.
Okay.
We need to keep paying attention to it. When new things come up, we might need to start. When interesting things get posted or shared in a comment on these posts, it might be worth posting a link to the post to the community and a brief comment in the post. Go check out this topic because there's interesting stuff there now, or something.
Okay.
Jim is showing us L29, 8, and what are these boards for?
Okay, it is a H bridge. The one he said in the website. But
is it a Spark Fun?
It is well integrated with all the terminals.
Oh, okay.
It's the same chip. It's the same chip.
Okay, yeah.
L293D, the motor driver chip.
Yes.
And it's got the heat sink and the terminal so you can attach it and everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't have to. You don't have to solder anything.
Well, I see that board you're showing us up.
I have to go outside since I'm here. For the heat sink, I have. Oh, come on, this one in this box. Yeah. I searched for a long time to find these little babies. This is a heat sink that fits on a chip.
Yes.
And what's cool is it looks like a set of headers on a hot rod, you know, but anyway, it's just a single piece of metal wrapped around with, you know, and it slides right on the chip. That's for those L293D parts.
Okay.
And then I don't know, I'm just going to breadboard it. I can schematic capture and do a board if we get to that point, but I'm going to recommend these little boards.
Thanks for joining us, John.
Around here. Some VAR. The problem with having drawers to put all your things in is that you have drawers to put all your things in. Right?
Drawers by their nature obscure things.
This is
Thanks, Bram.
the board I
Guys,
plan to
thanks
put
for
it
your
on.
questions.
Bye-bye, Bron.
Yeah, thanks for joining us in the middle of your night.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure.
Sleep well when you get there.
Will.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So this here is the circuit board. Again, this is an Adafruit item. On the back, you can see the pattern of a breadboard.
Yes.
It's got gold tin and no solder mask on the back. On the front, it has solder mask and gold tin plated through volt vias, the mounting points. And it's just like a protoboard, except the only difference is these power rails here that run up and down, the spacing between them and these is equal to 0.2 inches, which is the way it should have been designed on breadboards from the beginning of time. But somebody somewhere put them at some weird spacing. And they're like 2.5 units of spacing. So they improved on the design there, but all in all, it's a very well designed type of thing, and it's available in half length. Got your half length boards, the quarter length that you saw, and then of course the full length breadboard.
Whoa, that's a big one.
It's a big one, yeah. So the idea is to prototype it, and then hopefully it'll fit on a quarter length. If not, it'll be a half length, and that'll be on the back of a hand. You know. Now, if it gets to the point that we're actually making these in any kind of volume, even small volumes like 10 or 20, then we can have boards made and they'll be a lot smaller.
You ought to see if you can work on a design for a housing that will hold one of those quarter length and half length boards that has a Picatinny on the back, a Picatinny rail on the back, or one of John P's rail systems on the back.
I can OpenSCAD something like that, cook that up.
Yeah, because that might be something that would be a useful thing to share also, because we already have several hand designs that have rails of some sort on them. If you had a box for housing these kind of breadboards more easily for prototyping with a known size into hands, that might be something, a useful starting point for some projects. You know, being
That's a real good idea. If you've made a few suggestions for me to do stuff, and I take direction well. Would you mind? What? Would you mind summarizing and sending it to Laird? Because I said Laird was like my boss.
I can do that. I can make things I've suggested are not targeted at you specifically. I often use you and anybody who's listening. sense.
Oh, but, I want to do them. I want to do them just as you said. I'm just kidding.
And specifically with the projects you've already built, I do want you to post those somewhere, because I'd like to be able to get access to those battery holders and for other things similar to that. But yeah, I'll try to make a list of the suggestions I've made tonight, and or make a post that I share with you and with Laird, so that
for the purpose of getting me to be focused on doing something instead of just following random fun thoughts. I mean, I need to really focus at e-NABLE, and I've been kind of fragmented. Have you noticed that? I'm a little fragmented. I'm a little distracted. What?
Squirrel. I get that way a lot. I've been a little buried in my water truck project lately. Somebody made a feature request that ended up taking a lot more of my time than I expected. So I've been sort of down the rabbit hole working on that and not getting any of my hobby projects, which e-NABLE is, since it doesn't put money in my wallet. So I've been a little bit buried and not focused on this, and I need to get more focus on this as well. But I appreciate that when I give ideas out, somebody tends to jump on them, which has been...
I want to do that stuff you said, but I can't plan. I'm like this. I'm like a robot that you can pull my strings, but you got to make me dance. You know, you got to give me instructions. Okay, let's do this tonight. Do this week.
I'll make an email or a post to share with you so that you have a list of the ideas that we talked about tonight, so that you have some things to organize and play with.
All right.
I think we're all kind of wrapping up now. Is there anybody else have anything else they wanted to bring up?
Yeah, I did.
Yes, please.
Okay. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
All right. I got a chance to play with a Mayo armband this last weekend.
Oh, yes.
And I just posted the URL to the site. Yes. I went to the AT&T Mobile Hackathon, and they had some there for us to play with and develop with.
Neat.
And the idea that I brought was to add a servo to the hand, a Raptor reloaded hand, and use either Bluetooth or a Raspberry Pi, which has Bluetooth from another device, or Raspberry Pi, which has libraries for the armband, to get it to move the servo, to move the fingers. Just very basic functionality.
There are also a few different Arduino boards that have built-in Bluetooth, light Bluetooth.
Yeah, I've got an Arduino and a Bluetooth module, but I was not able to get anything connected. So we ended up not pursuing that project. We took on another one, but we had 3 of the bands in our group and had very little success getting them to work reliably and consistently. We tried with the applications that they provide for Android, for iOS, and for desktop under Windows and Mac, and none of them worked consistently and reliably. We finally got an app working where we could do some gestures and get it to perform consistently some of the time. So the design of the armband is very impressive, from a physical standpoint. Although it's a little heavy, a little bulky, but I think over time you get used to it. And I think if it stays on the market, they'll improve it. But from a development perspective, it was quite a challenge.
I was kind of expecting it to be challenging because of the fixed preset positioning of the myoelectric inputs. I could see that being hard to line it up with the right spots on a muscle, since everybody's anatomy is slightly different than everybody else's anatomy. I could see a fixed armband having some difficulties getting good signals.
Yeah, well, they have a calibration wizard that you walk through, and the software is beautiful, but none of us could seem to get them calibrated properly. And, so we talked to other groups that were working with them, and they were having some of the same issues. So it's a great idea. It's just not quite ready. It's not really a product yet, even though you can buy them on Amazon. So a little disappointing. A
lot like the Leaf motion controllers. At this point in the game, there's not enough people developing them. They don't have enough they don't have enough libraries built around them. They don't have enough software written for them. They don't have enough of the fine controls built into it. And my other problem with Elite Motion is that I can only control it with my right hand. My left hand doesn't look like a hand as far as it's concerned.
Interesting.
But the Mayo armband, I think, is going to be falling into the same area. It's a brilliant, brand new idea that we need to play with because the Generation 2 and Generation 3 versions of it are going to be awesome.
That's
but
what
the current version is not there yet.
Yeah, I agree. I think if it survives, it will evolve into something useful and practical. Now,
I'm hoping that something happens for it, like happened with, I mean, bought by Facebook isn't the best outcome for a company that's trying to design new tech, but I think that that's a big source of money for Oculus Rift, and I can see that going a long ways. Actually, Facebook probably has a lot of money for development and such. It's just, it seems to all go back into advertising with any of the social media companies.
Right.
So
I would be cautious about that myoelectric band using Bluetooth. Personally, I've had very poor luck with Bluetooth in the sense that it can be hacked, man. I mean, I don't know if it was. I don't know how it happened, but somehow all the Bluetooth devices that I had, well, both of them, all three of them, stopped interoperating properly. And there were things like I would crank up my music on my Bluetooth speaker, and suddenly the music would stop. You know,
easy for radio interference to cause problems with Bluetooth, especially since all remote connection devices are.
Les, it's probably your strongly magnetic personality. I think you're a walking EMP.
Yeah, I'm emitting fields right.
Yeah, tinfoil hat might help with that.
Yeah, there you go.
I did have another comment about the Mayo band. One thing that we were not able to explore is they claim you can get to the EMG data directly. And if that's the case, and they can, work out the sensitivity issues, then that would allow a lot of flexibility. Maybe individual finger articulation and those kind of things. So I was excited to hear about it, even though we didn't get to play with it. And a comment about the Bluetooth. We had so many people in one large room using Bluetooth devices that we had trouble getting the bands to connect. I couldn't get mine to connect until I took it home for the evening, and was able to get it to connect then, but in the room with all the other developers, no luck. So probably not an issue in the real world.
And that's really, I mean, when you think about controlling a hand, you don't want your hand spazzing out on you because your myoelectric Bluetooth thing broke, right? And
right.
Then, what are the other applications they're planning on using this thing for? I mean, they show pictures of like someone with a hard hat in a power company environment or something like that. I mean, I don't want someone who is. I mean, I don't know what I've seen, what they're planning to use it for that much, but isn't it kind of dangerous to control things with a communications link that's flaky?
Yes.
Yeah, I would wonder about it. A lot of the things I've seen them using it for are like video game controllers and controlling like drones and things like that. And I could see signal problems with a drone could result in a crashed drone. I'm not certain how you would use it in a industrial setting, though. I'm not sure what you would use it for. Controlling giant robot arms with it
That's the scenario I'm talking about. You know, you're trying to operate this robot arm painting the car or something with your myoelectric band, and then the thing goes crazy, and there's paint everywhere.
Right, you drop the car.
You drop the car. So.
Good point. Anyway, that's my review.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've been really interested in them. They're like the Leap motion controllers are right in my willing to pay that much for it. The Myo are in my I might have to spend a few months saving up for it, and I haven't quite wanted it enough yet to do it.
Yeah, don't do it yet.
Yeah, although if my money goes to them developing a better version 2, it might be worth spending the money even if I don't get much use out of the product I buy.
They gave 4 of them away for the winners of the hackathon. So keep an eye open for the AT&T Mobile Hackathon. Maybe you can go write a killer app and win one.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
The USB cable is for what?
That was used for charging it, and then also getting it synchronized with the software on a Mac or PC to do the calibration wizard. And then also you can use that to, well, I guess that's probably all it's used for. They do have drivers for, there's a lot of open source libraries and drivers with it. One example did have like an Arduino connected via USB to a PC, so you could control an Arduino that way. We didn't want to do that since we wanted it to be truly mobile.
You want the Arduino to be directly controlled by the Myo.
Yeah, which so far nobody's done that, but the Raspberry Pi can be, according to some documentation that I found. There's a library for doing that.
Yeah, Raspberry Pi.
I couldn't get my Pi on the network, so no go.
Right.
It will be great that if we can connect the Myo band to the hand through USB, not through Bluetooth.
It's a good point.
Right.
Good idea. I don't think the current library supports that.
I'm thinking, like, why not? Why would they?
Yes.
Here's a URL to a muscle sensor that I found on SparkFun. So maybe this with an Arduino, you could have a direct connection.
Because there,
yeah, that one.
Because there is a lot of
sorry, go ahead.
concerning. There's some companies that are selling some electronic cards that enable the people to hack into the car's electronics.
Mm.
There is some post on the forums where suggested that some of these cards are used to card theft.
Wow.
Like Bluetooth connections to the
Some of the keys of the newer cars are from a radio transmitter, so you can build a fake key with these new cards and
right.
Yeah, you know, I tell you, you hearing about you talk like that, the entire issue of getting into a car, password protecting your data, I mean, logging into a website, the whole thing. Why are we using technology that's 50 years old? You know, I don't understand it. We got, like, Google and all these people, they've got all these PhD professors and all these people who know how to do artificial intelligence. I mean, look at me. Can a computer not recognize me? and listen to my voice and say, yeah, that's him, and unlock the car. We got the processing power. All you got to have rockin' artificial intelligence, pattern recognition. All you got to do is use a graphics coprocessor, because they're.
And then my cardboard cutout, Les Hall.
Yeah, cardboard cutout with tape player behind it.
A tape player, right?
It has to be smart enough to distinguish between that or a dead me.
Right.
Can't do that either.
The old thing that they always do with eyeball recognition in bad science fiction movies, where they take the guy's eye and.
Yeah.
Which always
they figure that out
because optic readers are not reading the front of the eye; they're reading the inside of the eye, and so the pencil that they've got the eye stuck on is going to obscure the view.
Oh, great.
I prefer security through obsolescence. I drive a beater.
Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely. The reason I have no crime is that I have nothing nobody wants to steal.
Right.
That's it. That's the theory. But yeah, the entire issue of security and accessing, I mean, that needs to be solved. You know, there are attempts. Now there's an echo. There have been some attempts. You know, there's the card that you can use with your password, and there's the.
Mute you for a second, Jim. Go ahead and keep talking, Les.
What? I can't hear you now. Trouble.
Still echo.
Well, it doesn't matter. I guess we're done since we started talking about things that have nothing to do with e-NABLE. Or are we already off the air?
No, we're still on.
Yeah.
Oh, we're still on the air and I'm acting like this? Oh, that was smart of me. I'm sorry myself.
Oh.
But, okay. I guess we are done, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and stop the broadcast then.